All right, if everybody's ready, I'm going to get started. Time. Good morning and welcome. Thank you so much for being a part of this today. Now, because each of these brews requires keen attention, I'm going to brew them one by one and stagger your service accordingly, okay? First, I'm going to tell you about the coffee, then about my brew method, and finally, tasting notes that'll be in your cup. This coffee comes to us from Colombian coffee producer Felipe Ancila. His farm, poetically named Jardines del Eden, or the Garden of Eden, is a place to experiment with modern coffee varieties and their processing, including the process this coffee went through. This lot, entirely of the Castillo variety, was first plucked at peak ripeness and allowed to dry for 1 day. That's step one. In step two, they fermented the coffee anaerobically or without oxygen for 2 days. In step three, they froze those cherries for 3 days. And in step four, they allowed the coffee to dry on raised mesh beds until it reached the desired moisture content. Each step in this process contributes to this coffee's pleasant acidity and chocolatey sweetness. The coffee was roasted by Tinker Coffee in Indianapolis and is rested for 6 weeks to allow the coffee to soften and sweeten. Now, a few things in my brew bring out the best in this special coffee, but I find that it does the same for many coffees. The focus was finding a recipe that prioritized a clean cup and clarity of flavor from the moment I finished brewing all the way to cool in your cup. So, on to the brew. I'm using 15 grams of coffee and 240 grams of water for a 16:1 brew ratio. The clarity of flavor shines when using this ratio to achieve the appropriate strength of around 1.5% TDS. My water has been mineralized with third wave water to highlight the acidity and sweet body. A temperature of 202 helps bring out the best in this coffee, while my plastic brewer holds the heat in the slurry throughout. Today, I'm using a Hario V60 brewer, a staple in specialty coffee. Now, for my bloom, I'm using 45 grams of water, 3 times that of my dose. And then using a Weiss distribution tool, I whisk the slurry 10 times to ensure full saturation between each one of those particles. At that time, I let the bloom sit until 1 minute, where one slow, steady pour is it for the rest of the brew. This single pour raises the water high on the filter, increasing the amount of the filter we use for this next step. And these Cafeg T90 filters have a crept surface, meaning they have a ridged, wavy texture. Now, once I reach my final brew weight, I give the top of the slurry just a little stir to encourage a uniform flow of water. A big benefit of using the Weiss distribution tool in this way utilizes that crept surface of the filter and the ridges of the V60 to create slow pockets that catch fines, while boulders make their way down into the bed. I find this is where the clarity of flavor comes from, because those fines sit high on the filter and the larger particles are down below. The larger particles are able to extract more evenly with that flow of water. The flow of water also decreases channels in the bed, meaning that a flat bed at the end of my brew isn't as crucial as with some other brew methods.
You have 5 minutes remaining.
Now, I'm going to ask that you assess the aroma from the brew vessel. In the aroma, you'll find light brown sugar, stewed strawberry, and dark chocolate. Now, as you taste the coffee, I ask that you use a combination of the cup and your spoon for a complete tasting experience. As you do, hold the coffee in your mouth. Notice how it makes you salivate, increasing perception of those sweeter notes. I'll ask that you assess your aroma. Now, for your tasting notes. When the coffee is hot, you'll taste blackberry, kiwi, and dried orange peel. As it becomes warm, blood orange, cherry cordial, and strawberry candy. When the coffee is cool, blood orange, raspberry syrup, and strawberry jam. The aftertaste lingers long with that dark chocolate note and orange peel. As the coffee cools in that aftertaste, the dark chocolate becomes more like cacao nib. Now, I've tried this brew. Please assess your aroma. I've tried this brew with several different brewers, including variants of the V60. Brewers without ridges, please assess, took almost twice as long to draw down, while brewers of other materials cooled the slurry much too quickly during that 1 minute bloom. Now, typically, when you use a Weiss distribution tool with a pour over, it drastically increases your drawdown time. But because I'm only encouraging a uniform flow of water and not disturbing the bed, my brew time is less than 2.5 minutes, including that 1 minute bloom. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to leave you to spend some time with this beautiful coffee. It's been a pleasure to serve you today, and on behalf of myself, Tinker Coffee, and Hardina's Deli Den, thank you. Time. Can we turn up this music?